Welcome to the first episode of Grace in the Grind.
Guys, we're so excited. We're sitting here in this podcast studio, kind of scared to start.
A little bit nervous, but I mean,
Welcome.
The Lord's got us.
Yeah, we're so thankful that you guys are listening to the first ever episode of Grace in the Grind. My name is Anna Ince.
My name is Bailey Cruzy.
And we're lovers of Jesus. We're followers of Jesus. We're just college students. We fail. We mess up. We don't live perfectly like we should. But that's kind of what we're here doing today. Just kind of showing we aren't perfect Christians, but nobody is.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we got the name Grace in the Grind, was being in college is hard, and just navigating college life while also staying strong in your faith and being a Christian is probably one of the hardest things that I've noticed with my faith, is just adapting to that environment where you're around a lot of non-believers or people that aren't as strong in their faith as I may be. So that's like just something we wanted to talk about to other people that might be going through the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. We go to a liberal arts college. It's not necessarily, it's not Christian at all.
No.
And so that's something that deciding when coming here was like a big factor for me. I don't know about for you, but I was a little intimidated by just the fact that I was going to be away from home. The people here weren't going to be Jesus followers, especially because like I grew up in a small town. My high school, a lot of them were followers of Christ. And so like here, you're open to so many like diverse people. And you know there's going to be people out there that may like give you hatred or like mock you for your beliefs.
Test your faith. And
So that's kind of been an adjustment. But that's kind of why we decided to do Grace in the Grind. We are so excited that you're listening. I don't know. Hi, Mom. I don't know if my mom's listening. Our moms have been very big supporters. And, like, I'm just so thankful for, like, the people from back home that are wanting to listen, the people here in college. And if you know anyone that wants to listen, please just share. We just want to spread the gospel to everyone, even if they aren't necessarily a follower of Jesus yet. But we're kind of just going to be hitting on how to live like Jesus, how to be a follower of Christ even when we mess up, because sometimes we just need more advice. It's kind of going to be advice based off of our own experiences. And we aren't amazing people. I'm 19, right? You're 19?
I'm 19 too.
So we're so young. We have so much to learn. So and if you don't believe something that we say, just take it with a grain of salt. And but yeah, this podcast, we're just two communications majors. We started a radio show all about pop talk. Pop talk, but
pop music.
We realized like we share a mutual love of Jesus. We started hanging out kind of and like tossing around ideas. This has kind of been in the works, at least for me, for like a year. I've like, God kind of just was like, I think you should do a podcast. Like one day I was like, ooh, I think I should do a podcast because I love to talk. I mean, I love to yap. Like anyone who knows me knows.
Especially about Jesus.
Yeah, especially about Jesus. Anyone knows that I like to yap. And so what better way except for talking about Jesus?
Yeah, and I always knew like I wanted something to do with spreading the gospel and spreading his word. And so whenever you mentioned the idea of doing a podcast, I was like, this is what I've been praying about.
Yeah, exactly. And He's given us this outlet.
Yeah.
This podcast
and just,
studio.
like this equipment, being able to use it is just such a blessing. And I'm so glad we're using it to spread the word.
Yeah. And we even like kind of talked about, we got coffee a few weeks ago and we were like, how can we be disciples of Christ? That's one thing that like really stood out to me when I was thinking like this morning in my quiet time with Jesus. I was like, we literally were like, we were praying. We were like, how can we be disciples? How can we spread his message? And like the plans aligned for this. We had a few setbacks with it, but we're rolling. Like we have an amazing name. We have an amazing cover that you guys are gonna see whenever we like post the first episode. So
we were able to get an amazing photographer.
Yeah,
and
it was God's will. It's happening. Like we have so many exciting things planned for you guys. So yeah, we're just so excited.
Yeah, and we originally met just because we had like similar classes. And whenever I found out that you also had the same love for Jesus, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yay. I love just like meeting people that share that mutual love for Jesus.
And that, like, passionate where they're, like, running towards Jesus. And so, like.
Yeah. So whenever I met Anna, it was just like, yay. Like,
yay. Like, this, sent from God. Same thing with you, though. Like, it was, like, again, we're 2 communications majors. So.
Just happened to be
in
classes
the same together.
Classes, yeah.
And we got paired up for the radio show randomly. And so we were like, we can do more than just talk about pop.
Yeah.
Like, pop music. Like, yeah, that's interesting, but, like, that's not what we want to do. So we have Grace in the Grind. We kind of talked about why we picked the name, but I'm kind of like, we kind of posted it on, like, our social medias, and, like, we just said because, like, God, our creator and savior, he gives us grace daily.
Yeah.
No matter what, he gives us grace. No matter how many times we mess up, he gives us grace. Like, when our schedules are busy, this week was crazy busy.
Very.
And he gave us all grace. When we fall short of his glory, he gives us grace. Especially when we struggle under the weight of sin. We kind of talked about this the other night at church. Like, he gives us grace. And, like, we are so undeserving of how his mercies are new, like, every single morning, how many times he forgives us. Like, he literally sent his son to die for us, like, the best present of all. And, like, sometimes we aren't thankful enough. We don't realize that. And he still gives us grace no matter what. Yeah,
and in church on Wednesday night, it was just it was a sermon that was really speaking to me and Anna, just going forward with the podcast and kind of going along with the name Grace in the Grind. And if you want to look at Romans 5:21, that's a good verse about kind of just the grace that God provides us with. But the few things I wrote down was we can't out-sin the grace of God.
That's so good.
And
I had to stop in my tracks for a second and was like, okay, Jesus.
Yeah. And then I also wrote down, through faith in Christ, grace is poured out on all of our sin, fully forgiving the sinner. Like, we're all sinners. We all sin, but God is so gracious that he gives us grace every single day and forgives us. And we just need to talk to him more and come to him with our problems rather than just sitting in our room pouting watching about TikTok. It.
Yeah.
He just wants us to come to him, and
no matter what.
Yeah.
In the mundane tasks, that's something that has also been speaking, like, to me recently. Like, whenever I have so much homework and I'm sitting in the Lark, or, like, that's what we call our library, if you guys didn't know that. But when I'm sitting there and I'm just overwhelmed by my to-do list and I'm in a bad mood and, like, I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown, like, God wants to be there during that time. During me sitting there in the library working on homework for 5 hours, he wants to be there. And so, like, whether that's me talking to him during that or, like, playing worship music in my AirPods and still worshiping him during the hard times, that's what he wants.
Yeah. And the other day I was in my room just kind of figuring out what I needed to do the rest of this week, what I needed to get done, and I just felt so overwhelmed, and I just stopped, like, took a deep breath, and I was like, the Lord's got me.
Yeah.
I just need to stop, talk to him. Like, there's no need for me to be stressing out right now when I know he always has it worked out. And I experience these moments so many times where I've gotten better about stopping myself and just leaning on him.
And that's when you know, like, you're growing closer to him.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing feeling knowing that, too.
And then after that moment, I just kept going about my day, talking to him, and I just turned around my day like that. And that's just an example of his grace.
And that's part of the reason why we wanted to start this podcast. Like, again, we aren't perfect people. We aren't perfect Christians. And so, like, we want to share our weekly experiences almost, and, like, what we learned from that week. And also, like, we want to be hitting on subjects that, like, being in college at a liberal arts college and, like, finding your people, and even, like, Christian relationships, because that can get a little iffy at times, and just what other topics.
Just, like, being in environments where you don't feel, like, the Lord's presence and
like
being around people. Yeah, exactly.
The college experience, being pressured by that.
And that's such a big thing in college, especially if you're not going to a Christian university.
Yeah.
Is just finding your people in your community that's going to support your faith and help you grow in your faith.
Yeah. And whether you're, like, a college student like us, whether you're in high school listening to this and you're, like, getting ready to go to college, or you're freshly in high school, or even just maybe you're like an old person.
You're like, you're our moms.
Yeah, or just, sorry, Mom, or just simply like a Jesus lover like we are. We hope that like our encouragement and our real life stories can really lead you closer to God. Like, yeah, it is our experiences in college and like we're pretty young, but like we want this to be for all ages, all people, no matter where you are in your journey with Christ.
Yeah, and us being so young, it kind of gives people other perspectives too. And then we can kind of minister to people our age that may be struggling with their faith or struggling with being in college. And we can kind of speak from their point of view, and we understand what other people might be going through because we are so young.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I even had doubts, especially like starting this podcast, because I'm like, what if I don't have the right things to say? What if I accidentally take something out of context? Like, I'm not as good. Like, I don't know all the faith. Like, every single word of the Bible. I don't know every single thing that Jesus has ever said. And, like, I'm still learning every single day. And so, like, I had doubts. I was like, what if I say something wrong? What if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, oh, she said that wrong. Like, she's
not.
Yeah. I don't know how to even put it into words, but it's just like a genuine fear. And I don't know. Like, that's obviously not from the Lord. So I've had to stop those overthinking, all of those bad thoughts. But that's part of the reason why I would say we kind of, like, I had a few setbacks with this podcast, if I'm going to be real with you guys.
I kind of felt the same way, just like being afraid I didn't have the right words to say, or I wasn't wise enough. I wasn't educated with the Bible enough.
Yeah.
That was my main concern. But as long as it comes from the heart and that the Lord is giving you the words to say, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I just kept telling myself that.
Yes. And we're filming this today on a Friday. It's been a long week, but this will be premiered hopefully on the next Monday. If you guys are listening, I'm hoping it's if we get it all figured out. But I don't know if I've already said, but we're hoping to do new episodes each Monday.
Yeah.
We're going to film them on Friday and then hopefully put them out that next Monday. We're hoping to get a few guests for you guys once we get further along the road. But right now, you just got me and Bailey.
Yep.
And we're hoping to lead you closer to Christ. I have like a few passages from Scripture to like kind of open up like our time here today, and then we'll get into our testimonies and stuff too. But first off, I have Ephesians 2, 8 through 10. That's kind of what our main landing verse was whenever we started this. I have NLT, so it may sound different from other people's. But God saved you by his grace when you believed, and you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago.
I love that.
Yeah, and so it just shows that, like, we can't let this get to our heads, like, especially, like, having a platform like this, or even just in life. God was gracious enough to give us his grace, his gift of grace, and he loves us so much. Like, I have to stop and think about how much God really loves me.
It's hard to fathom it and just imagine that in your head.
Like, that's that's my first love. Like, that should that should be all of our first love. That should be our main priority, because we're his main priority.
Yep.
Yeah. But this verse is just so good.
Yeah, and then I was reading in my Bible the other day and wrote down a couple things that jumped out to me about grace and the Lord's faith. And I wrote down, we need to be a person that demonstrates God's grace. Because there's a lot of people out there, like unbelievers, that don't understand.
Okay, Bailey, cook.
God's grace. Like, you want to show that to people and to help them understand what it's like to have a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah. Guys, I'm so sorry. I feel like we should keep that in because that's so funny. I accidentally just hit a button. I thought like Jesus was coming down right there, like fairy godmother or something. Guys,
Wow. That was so magical.
I looked at Bailey from across the table and I like did that thing from like Elf when the intercom goes off and he's like, what? Like looking up at the ceiling. That's so funny. I'm sorry.
Well, on that note,
we're being real with you guys. Also, we are getting sick, so that's why we kind of sound nasally, but that was crazy.
I mean, the flu's going around. I really hope it's not the flu. I'm praying.
That was so crazy. And then, do you want to talk about Hebrews, that verse that has kind of been our verse for this week?
Yeah. We put it on one of our Instagram posts.
We did. We're trying to be active on there, y'all, but we don't really know how that's going to look because our schedules are super busy, but we're starting this podcast up. We don't really know what it's going to look like. We've prayed about it. We've had many meetings just discussing all of it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So the verse that's been put on our Instagram multiple times, it's NIV version. Hebrews 4:16, let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. I feel like that's just the definition of grace in the grind.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's just talking about how no matter how busy our life gets and no matter what we're going through in that moment, we have God's grace to help us in that time of need.
That's so good. And, yeah, no matter what we're going through, no matter if we're on the highest mountain or if we're in the lowest valley, God still meets us there. And he still hears us, understands us. And sometimes I like knowing that God is the only one that really understands me. Yeah. God knows my thoughts, my innermost thoughts. He created me, so he knows who I am. And, like, sometimes when I can't form the words for what I'm saying, like, God knows what I'm saying without even having to say it out loud.
Yeah, there will be times where I'm praying or just talking to God, and I'm like, do you understand? And I'm like, of course he understands. Like, what am I thinking? He always does. Yeah.
It's amazing. We could just talk about Jesus all day.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we're doing. I have another verse kind of this morning in my quiet time with Jesus because I've been like super like anxious about this just because I'm like, God, please just give me the words. I've said this so many times just in this podcast, but I thought this was really, really good. It's 2 Timothy chapter, let me turn to the right place. Chapter 4, verse 5. It just says, but you should keep a clear mind in every situation. Don't be afraid of suffering for the Lord. Work at telling others the good news and fully carry out the ministry God has given you.
I love that.
And I was like, okay, like this is the podcast because like people kept telling me, especially like when I went back home this weekend for church and like I was telling them about the podcast and they were like, you're probably going to experience a few setbacks or like you're more open to the devil working against you almost because like we are starting a ministry, like we're following Jesus and like we have a platform now. And so we are open to more attacks.
Exactly.
And like, I don't know if that's just like this week because like this week has also been kind of crazy, but like I just like read the scripture this morning and I thought it was really good. Just like no matter what situation, like, because my life recently hasn't been, obviously I'm not on the highest mountain. You probably aren't either. I don't know what your life is like. We're going to talk about that later. But, so I was like, I don't know if I'm qualified to do this because I've just been in such a rough season with the Lord and just like trusting him, trusting what the Lord is doing in my life. And like, because I keep having multiple things that are like, okay, God, like, why is this happening? Like, why does this keep happening? Why is this person acting this way? Why this, and this? And so I was like, maybe like, because I'm still like questioning the Lord at times. Like you aren't going to have your, like, even if you try to have your full trust in him, you're still going to somewhat question it. Or at least I am, which is kind of bad, but it's hard to fully not want to control a situation. And so I was like, maybe this isn't the right time because I'm busy with college. Like I just started a job and like all of these things in my life aren't necessarily going the way that I intended for them to go. But it just kind of just says, like, but you should keep a clear mind in every situation. Don't be afraid of suffering for the Lord. And just keep work at telling the good news, like telling others the good news, and fully carry out the ministry God has given us. God has given us this podcast. God has given us the opportunity to go to college and be communication students and meet each other so we can be here in this exact moment. Yeah. And like that just shows that God works all things out for the good, no matter what. Like, even if we don't see it at the time, like, he still is working. Like, right now he's working through this. Even we don't know what it's going to look like in a month from now, a year from now. Like,
yeah,
he's working.
Even just like starting a podcast, we don't really care if it reaches a million people or one person.
I just hope one person is saved from this.
As long as we are planting seeds in one person, like, we did the Lord's work.
Yeah, I thought about this week too. I was like, I don't care how many followers we get. I don't want to be some giant big name. Like, that would be amazing to like have that platform. But like, as long as someone listening takes our advice, or like kind of like applies it to their heart, and just sees how much God really loves them, and how God sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins, so we could go live with him in eternity in heaven. Like, that's enough just to know that.
Yeah. And like you mentioned a little bit ago, there's going to be setbacks. I think that's the beauty of it, because it's showing that we are so close with our relationship with the Lord that the devil is trying to bring us back down. Yeah. It's just showing how strong in our faith we are, and the good works that we're doing. Yeah. And I just think it's a beautiful thing that we're experiencing those setbacks, because it shows how strong we are in our faith.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then I have one more scripture. I don't know if you have any more, but before we kind of get rolling into things, I just think we just kind of need to, like, we've been talking for
like 20 minutes.
I don't even know. Sorry, guys. We're yappers. Our degree is yap. I say that to everyone. I need a sweatshirt that says that. But we just have to kind of like open up with, of course, the like go-to message, Matthew 28 verses 19 through 20. Kind of just like therefore go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you, and be sure of this: I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Like, that's what we're hoping to do here. We're disciples of Christ. We're hoping to like spread his word and make new disciples. And yeah, we just want to share how much we love Jesus.
And there's one more. This is actually my favorite verse. It's Acts 20:24. However, I consider my life worth nothing to me. My only aim is to finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me, the task of testifying to the good news of God's grace. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Paul Cook there. So yeah, we kind of just wrapped up. We want to be vulnerable with you guys. Not like wrapped up, but like wrapped up like what Grace in the Grind is going to be, what we're doing. We kind of want to be vulnerable like each week. How has God shown you grace this week? We kind of like talked about it, but I really want to like know, how has God shown you grace this week?
I mean, like I said earlier, just whenever I had that moment in my room where I felt so overwhelmed and just like getting caught up in worldly things. Yeah. I was reminded that I just need to take a step back, talk to the Lord, know that he's got me. And I just felt peace like come over me. And all my worries just kind of like went away in that moment. And my day was turned around in an instant just because I knew that God had me.
That's good.
And that was like a moment where I was like, that was God's grace.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm going to yap about my week for a while, genuinely. You probably know, but like my week has been super duper crazy long. I haven't had a single ounce of downtime in like 5 days. Yeah. I've started a new job. The workload this semester has been crazy. And just like even just the podcast planning, I think I've been getting caught up in it a lot, just like with the social media posts, trying to start a podcast on like Spotify, how to like put it on there, trying to like figure all that out. But I've just been really like stressed and tired and super busy. And I'm like, how am I doing this? But then I realized my strength comes from the Lord. Like, He's restoring me each day. He's giving me the energy, even when I don't have, like, whenever I can't get out of bed. It's not the double shot espresso, like, double shot latte that I make every single morning, or the Alani that I shouldn't be drinking. Like, that's my energy somewhat not really comes from that. Like, my strength comes from the Lord, and he keeps restoring me each and every day. Like, Monday I spilled a drink on a little girl at Texas Roadhouse. My first,
Oh no.
like, yeah, the tray, like, somehow, like the drink literally spawned. Like, I could have swore the devil just came up and, like, knocked the drink off the tray, but it spilled all over this little girl. I had this, like, Karen that, like, was so rude to me. And these people sat at my table for, like, 3 hours and wouldn't get up, and I, like, lost profit because of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just
It
that,
was just,
and there was just
one of those weeks.
Yeah. The weather's been gloomy.
Mhm.
You just want to, like, lay in bed, and we've just
Yeah.
had so much homework and just setbacks. I'm trying to think of, like, other moments that God's given me grace.
Yeah.
But
And then, like, our work, it's a lot of writing, which is very
Mhm.
time consuming.
It is. And, like, we have this
So-
one class that makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
So that's been, like,
Yeah.
kind of a thing we've experienced this week, where we just need a reminder of God's grace.
Mm-hmm. And, like, it was, like, Wednesday that I, like, everything kind of caught up to me. I was like, I haven't had any downtime. Like, I need a break. And so, like, I, like, had a mental breakdown to my mom. Love you, Mom. I'm pretty sure her phone was connected to CarPlay whenever I was, you know how, like, when the phone's connected.
Yeah.
And I think she was, like, parked in the church parking lot, and people probably walking by could probably hear me, like,
Yeah.
sobbing. I was like, I don't know what to do. No one would take my shift at work. Like, I was, like, sobbing my eyes out, and I was like, okay, like, this is a low. But then I went to church later that night, and, like, worship was so good that night.
It was really
And I
good.
just really felt God's presence, and I was like, okay, like, I needed this. And it just kind of reminds me, like, whenever I get stressed out, like, it doesn't even have to be in, like, a corporate setting like church, even in my car or, like, in my dorm, like, just worshiping.
Yeah, worship
God.
can really, like, turn around your day in an
Mhm.
instant.
Yeah.
I figured that out really quickly.
Yeah. But that's kind of where God's shown me grace. But yeah, that's pretty much my week. Do you have anything
Yeah.
else?
I mean, I would say my week has been pretty similar.
Yeah.
I don't have a new job, but I have
Yeah.
an internship.
Yes.
Um, Thankfully, this week, my internship's been kind of slow, so I haven't
Okay.
had much to do with that.
Yeah.
But just, like, the workload, like you said, has been a lot. And just trying to manage your relationship with friends,
Mm-hmm.
staying
Yeah.
on top of your work, and then also staying on top of your faith and putting him as your
Yes.
first priority has definitely been something I've struggled with a little bit. But I have to, like, last night I was in my bed praying, and I was just like, I'm sorry if I haven't, like, put you first today or talked to you as much as I would have liked to.
Yeah.
But again, I'm reminded that he gives us grace in those moments
Yeah.
where we feel like we've been kind of distant in a
Mhm.
day.
And I think of God, like, he's not just some normal person where, like, if you distance yourself from someone, they may start to, like, get kind of mad or, like, you know, distance
Kind of like
themselves from
hold
you.
that
Yeah,
against
hold
you.
a grudge. But, like, God's not that way.
No, God's not going to hold a grudge.
Like, God's sitting right there on the bed. Like, I picture, like, him sitting right there on the bed with me as I'm, like, reading my Bible, and I'm like, God, I haven't spent enough time with you. And it's like, it's okay. Just, like, come home to me. Like, just meet me here.
Yeah,
in
he's
your
not going to
presence.
he's not going to walk away because you were distant.
Yeah.
He's still there.
He loves us. So, yeah, that's our week. Hopefully things slow down. But, like, I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and, like, I've been busy because of this podcast.
Mhm.
So, like, I'm so thankful for that. And now that you've heard a little bit about our weeks, we're gonna get deep. We're gonna share our testimonies, which
Yeah.
I hate being vulnerable. That's another thing that I've struggled with
Yeah.
is, like, being vulnerable with these people. 'Cause, like, I don't know who's listening.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're listening, but you guys are gonna learn a lot about us, and so, like, that's scary,
It is.
being
But-
that vulnerable. I hate sharing how I feel about, especially, like, to people. I don't open up to people whatsoever. It takes me forever to open up to people,
I have to be very close with someone.
and, like, here we are. We're sharing it with each other here,
Yeah.
and also just the people listening online, or not on, yeah, online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you like to start with your testimony?
You're
or me?
starting.
Okay, I'll start.
Bailey is starting. She's setting the stage for us.
So my testimony, it's not anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you hear a lot of testimonies
Yes.
about, I don't even know, but just crazy stories about how people came to know the Lord. But for me, I grew up Lutheran,
Mm-hmm.
went to a Lutheran church with my family,
Yeah.
got baptized as a baby, like you do in the Lutheran church. And then we continued going to the Lutheran church in a small town about 20 minutes away from home. And then in middle school, I got confirmed in the Lutheran church.
Can you break down what that is for me?
Yeah. So it's kind of like a class, I guess you could say, where you
okay,
just kind of
okay.
learn about being Lutheran and kind of that whole experience.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to put into words until you really experience it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
I was not someone to say,
This was a middle school?
yeah.
Okay, so you would have been like 13-ish
yeah,
maybe?
around there.
Okay.
My mom knew I didn't like going to like these classes,
Yeah.
confirmation classes. And it was just, I wasn't like making my faith my own.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, I wouldn't say pushed me away, but it wasn't my first priority.
Yeah.
And so I got confirmed in middle school. And then once COVID hit, we kind of stopped going to church just because.
Like there was no church pretty much.
And they stopped having services because, I mean, my Lutheran church, it was a lot of elderly people that were more, what's the word? Vulnerable to getting COVID. So like they were extra cautious about having services. And so we stopped kind of going to church in 2020, and I would still like obviously pray, read my Bible, but it was never like my first priority still.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then summer of 2020, me and my mom got into a car accident.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything super crazy. Like it could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
But
God was there.
What?
It's like God was there.
Yeah, exactly. But it was still enough to like scare you.
Yeah.
And be like, that could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
But I'm still here standing, able to talk to my mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of emotional, but it was like a moment where I was like, I need to start taking my faith more seriously.
Yeah.
Like, my life could have ended then, but I'm still here, and he's so much more planned for me.
Yeah, he does.
And so ever since that moment, I really put my faith as my first priority and just make it my own.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, we need to start going to church again.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to go back to the Lutheran church. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It just, I didn't get much out of the sermons.
I get it.
And so we went to a non-denominational church, and I loved it. I loved the message. I loved the worship, and it really just like put me on fire for Jesus.
Yeah.
And we kept going there for a while, and then we actually switched churches because my mom's friend at work invited us to the church we go to now, Open Arms. And so we went. This was actually about a year ago. We started going to this church, and I immediately just like loved it there, like felt at home. And it was, again, another non-denominational church. And my mom's friend, Laura, if you're listening.
That's my mom's name.
She was like, there's this person Bailey needs to meet. He loves to golf. So like, if you don't know, I'm on the golf team here at Lindenwood. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to meet this person at church. Like, he loves to golf and he loves Jesus. Like, what?
Yes.
So the first service we went to there, I was just...
Oh, wait, so you met this man right when you went?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Shout out to you, Alex.
Oh.
So I just like immediately felt welcomed at this church because of just like knowing that these people love Jesus as much as I did.
Yeah.
And so whenever I met Alex there at church, she's like one of my closest friends now. I saw like his love for Jesus, and you can just, when you see Jesus in someone,
The
like
the Jesus glow.
they have
That's
that
what we
Jesus
call
glow,
it,
and they
yeah.
have like that light in them.
Mm.
And I told myself, I was like, I want to be so on fire for Jesus that people see him in me like I saw him in Alex.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like we need to quote that right now, guys. Say that again.
I want to be so on fire for Jesus that people see him in me like I saw him in Alex.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we all need to do.
And aspire to be like.
Yeah. Because even if, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because even if we don't have a platform like this, like the way that we live our day-to-day lives, through our actions, through our words, just the way that we appear, like if we're glowing with Jesus, like it's evident.
Yeah.
So,
and just the way he would go about his life with his faith being so strong was like so inspiring for me.
Yeah. And
it's just really just helped me grow even closer in my faith.
Yeah.
And over the summer, I obviously kept growing in my faith. And then I was like just struggling with the thought of coming to college and finding that community.
It's scary.
It was very scary. And I'm like, what if my faith like goes down my priority list? I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
And going into college with that mindset is really what kind of led me to where I am today, and just being so strong in my faith and like it being the strongest it's ever been. Like just starting this podcast and having like daily Bible studies, going to coffee shops and just sitting down, spending hours reading my Bible. I'm just like, so what's even the word?
You're on fire.
I'm just so on fire. And it's just like, I want people.
You're running for Jesus. Yeah. You're running towards Jesus.
I want people to see Jesus in me.
Yeah.
And I hope that they do, and that this podcast will really just help people see that even more. And so that's kind of my story and my testimony.
That's good. I love that. And like, I don't know if I have any questions really for you because but like you had your doubts coming in. Did you know that you wanted to go to Lindenwood?
I almost went to a different university that was Christian.
Okay, yeah.
But I wanted to go to somewhere a little bit bigger, kind of in a bigger city that had more things to do.
Yeah.
And especially their broadcasting program was really good. And I knew that's what I wanted to do, was go into sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like a deal breaker was my major and golf.
Yeah.
So picking Lindenwood over a Christian university was definitely hard.
Yeah.
But I found like that community, especially at Matthias Church.
Yeah.
Going there every Wednesday night, like it's filled with college students.
It is. It's amazing to just see.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just finding Anna and my other friends, like it was truly an answered prayer because I was scared I wasn't going to find those people.
Yeah. And like in high school, like it's definitely hard. Like, did you have a hard time too? Like,
yeah, high school was not, I hated high school.
Yeah. I mean, at least you didn't peak in high school.
Yeah, true. Like until I found Alex at church, I didn't have friends that were on fire for Jesus like I was. And so Alex being my friend was another answered prayer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. It's vulnerable, but
is this your first time writing your testimonies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always like hard to like sit down and think about what all happened in your life and like what exactly God has done, because God has done every single thing in our life, but just like things that are evident and have stood out.
And like the car accident, I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
But now I know it like led me closer to him.
Yeah. That's so good because we don't know why God is doing what he's doing at times. And so
you just have to trust his plan.
Yeah. I just got chills. I don't know why.
Hopefully
I guess
it's not the flu.
I know, right? I sound like a 12-year-old boy right now. I guess it's time for my testimony. I used to like hate having to share my testimony. I've done this a few times, especially for my youth group or so, like stuff like that. Just because again, I don't like being vulnerable. And I had a really hard time. I think it was my junior year where my pastor was like, I took this class and he was like, I need you to write your testimony. And I was like, I don't know how to do that because I always thought testimonies were something that like bad things had to happen to you. I always thought like you always hear where someone's like, oh, I had cancer. And then like no hate on those people that obviously have gone through those things because those things are traumatic and like, yeah. But like I always thought that my life had to like have a lot of major setbacks or like bad things happen. And like up to junior year, like my life was pretty simple. Like I was just a normal. So like that's why I had a hard time like writing it. But like now I've had to like revise it, re-edit it, add some things on ever since like junior year. Because obviously my life looks a lot different than it did junior year. Yeah. And like I've had so many trials and tribulations. I've had amazing mountaintop moments and I've had like really low valley moments and like seasons of life where I'm like, I don't know why this is happening. And like I'm still currently in one of those, but like just trying to trust the Lord. That's pretty much the whole thing. Like that's the basis of my testimony. But my name is Anna Ince. I don't know if I already said that, but like my name's Anna Ince and I'm currently 19 years old. I grew up in a Baptist church. I'm pretty sure, like, I always say this, like, I think the first, like, Sunday that rolled around after I was born, like, I think I was in church. Like, every single Sunday, I was in church. I was a part of, like, the youth group there, like, the Sunday school when I was a kid. We had, like, a children's choir, things like that. Like, also because my mom is was super active in this church. And so, like, that's why I was always there. And so as much as I like hated having to always be there, I was like, because you're a kid and like there's always times when you're like, oh, it's Sunday again, I have to go to church. Like yeah, so that's kind of like what my childhood looked like when I was like a kid. Like I just grew up in the church, and again I attended pretty much activity that I could. Looking back, there were times that I wanted to go, but there were also times where my mom pretty much had to, like, drag me to go. Yeah. And that was pretty much when I was, like, in middle school, early high school. I was still kind of, like, I don't want to go to church. Like, I guess I'll have to, but, like, I'm not getting anything out of it, like, Yeah,
I get that.
And so, yeah. And I always had known, like, about Jesus and how he died for my sins, but I didn't ever have that moment where, like, everything had changed for me. Like, now, looking back, like, it's different. But, like, when I was a kid, my sister got baptized at, like, the early age of, like, I don't know how old she was, like 9 maybe. And I didn't get baptized until last year. And I had been following the Lord for, like, a good amount of my life. And, like, I always knew that Jesus died for my sins. And so that's why, like, when people, like, you always have the altar call when people are, like, if you've accepted Jesus and you had this amazing moment where you felt him, but like as a kid, I never experienced that. Yeah. And so I felt like I wasn't qualified to get baptized. Like I sat there and I don't know why I was thinking these things at such a young age. I've been an overthinker since the womb. But I was always just like, I don't think I should get baptized because like, I don't know, like I never had that moment as a kid. I never had that, like, God was right there with me. And, like, I don't know, looking back, I'm, like, trying to, like, justify why I felt that way. But I think I was just scared. I was an anxious kid. I don't know why. I still am. I'm just older now. Like, I used to, like, cry whenever I, like, went to school.
Oh, I did, too.
And, like, they had to, like...
You can ask my mom. I did not want to go to school.
We're just, like, anxious girlies. Like, my mom, when I was in, like, This testimony is just all over the place. I'm sorry, y'all. We're up to like 45 minutes now. But like when I was in first grade, like I had to like get brought in for tests, and like they tested why my stomach hurt so bad, and like it turns out it was just nerves, and so like I was anxious from a young age, and like part of that just kind of plays in my journey with Christ. I promise I'm not just rambling for no reason. But like again, as I said with like my testimony, like I'm so thankful that I grew up with like like my parents are still together. Like there's not anything that like I had any major setbacks as like a child, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'm thankful for that. But like with the testimony, whenever I was like writing this originally, I was like, I don't know. Because
there's no like defining moment.
yeah, exactly. And like now that I'm older, like I see more of those trials, and that's what some people were saying. But like it was hard writing this originally. But again, like I was never baptized. My mom knew like that I had accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, but I didn't want to be baptized, which sounds crazy. But I didn't want to stand up in front of the church.
Yeah.
Have them dunk me in water. Pretty much, if we want to like no, like I'm not justifying getting baptized, but like I was, as a kid, I was scared. I was like, I don't know. Like yeah. And then a little part of it was like we just kept going. I still went to that church. I didn't get baptized, but I remember like when I was in 5th grade, my best friend, her mom passed. And that was the first time that I like had experienced death. And it really, really shook me. And like I like seeing how upset my friend was, like I was super scared. Like I was just scared about like afterlife and everything, and like heaven and hell, and just because like you don't really know when your time is up. Yeah. And like that really, really scared me, and that had me thinking about it. But like I still didn't get baptized or anything, but I was pretty young still. Fast forward a couple years, I was like listening to worship music one day in my room, and I never really listened to worship music. My mom and them always listened to Joy, like my mom and my sister, but I didn't. And then like one day I was like, I really want to listen to worship music. And for some reason that day, like I thought to myself, I was like, do I have a personal relationship with him? I don't know what it was. Like I had that moment finally where I was like, I need to have a relationship with him. Like, yeah, I grew up in the church, but that doesn't save me. Like, it's not just my works. Like, yeah, I may be a good person. I may hold the door for someone, but like, do I have a relationship with him? And so I realized that Jesus was my savior, but was I treating Jesus as my best friend? Like, was I living the way I should? Was I talking to him every single day like I should? From that day forward, I realized that Jesus was always with me, even through the hard times. But again, I was never baptized. Like I was too scared. But then at that time, I don't know, I was still overthinking. I felt like I was almost too old to get baptized, which sounds crazy. Like this is all part of my testimony, but like I was like 13 years old, and like you always hear about kids getting baptized at the super young age. And that's just how it was whenever I was in church, because I grew up in like a pretty older people heavy like church. A lot of older people were there. And I was one of the youngest ones, so I was like, now that I'm 13, like, am I too old to get baptized? Is that embarrassing? And, like, I don't know why I thought this, but, like, I just never got baptized until 5 years later after that moment. About, when I wrote this, it was about 2 years ago, but I think it's about 3 now. My sister had some tests done. I didn't tell her that I was sharing this, so I hope she doesn't get mad. Same thing with my best friend. But about 2 years ago, my sister had some tests done, and, like, she was told that she had to have her colon removed. So, like, she had polyps on her colon that could possibly be cancerous. And I was, like, I don't think I was ever so, like, that scared in my life. Like, I was genuinely scared. Like, my sister is my best friend. Like, we just do so much together. Yeah. And, like, knowing that her health was at risk and, like, her life was at risk was super scary because, like, I couldn't do anything to fix it. And, like, I'm a control freak, and I wanted to, like, fix it right there in that moment, and I couldn't. And, like, I was super scared for my sister, but I was also really scared for my health. Because, like, you know, it runs in my family. So, like, I was just worried about my sister during this whole entire season. But, like, during when we were in the hospital for, like, weeks, like, I was just praying constantly. And I realized, like, all of this was in God's hands. Like, nothing that I do will change this. Like, worrying about it, that's not going to help. Like, yeah, it's hard not to, like, to avoid worrying. But, like, yeah, I had to trust in God. And like, I also just saw like my sister, she grew really strong in her faith during that time. And I was kind of like, how could she how could she grow her faith when she's going through such a hard time, such a painful time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she still had trust in God. And like, I think that's part of the reason why I am so strong in my faith from that moment, because like, I just saw how her faith grew, and I just had constant trust and praying in that. And this was about the summer of 2022. And then a few weeks later, we went on a mission trip. We like combined our youth groups with another church, actually the church that I go to now, Refuge. But like, Refuge had a mission trip that year, and like, it was local, and so we restored a house in my town. It was super fun. Like, took all the paint off of it. I have to think about it, and like repaint it, and like we restored the porch. It was such an amazing week of my life, probably one of the best weeks of my life when I think about it, because God was really, really working on my life at that time. And like, I'm so thankful that like our youth groups were brought together, because I would not be that strong in my faith now, because then I ended up starting going to that church after that. And so like, once we started going to Refuge more and I became a part of that youth group, like, I formed a group of friends who were strong with Christ. And like, my friends from like high school and stuff were, but like, these people that I met were living for Jesus. And like, it was nice to kind of have them as accountability partners, and just like seeing a friendly face every Wednesday and Sunday, like at church, and like just worshiping the Lord together. There's nothing more pure than that. Yeah. And so it was super nice with that. But junior year was super stressful. Your junior year was probably super stressful too. Like, we had a bunch of honors classes. A lot of like trials with like friendships too. Yeah. Because like, obviously things are getting to the end of high school. Like, people are changing. You aren't going to be the same friends that you are. Like, you aren't going to have the same friends in middle school that you did in high school. So like, a lot of that was changing, and it was like hard to like have that change. And like, I hate change. So like, that was super hard for me. And I was really anxious during that junior year, like junior and senior year. It was to the point where like, I was having like anxiety attacks like every week. And the only thing that would really help was like worship, like taking a minute to like be in the Word, slow down, and just play worship music. Yeah. Like, I still struggle with being anxious. Like, it hasn't gotten amazing, like, obviously, but I'm just like right now asking for God to kind of like help with that area of my life, give that area, surrender that to Him. Because I heard this thing and it's really good. It was like, the gratitude cannot exist in the same time as like, anxiety can't exist in the same time as like gratitude or like worship. Yeah. Like, that, it's not physically possible. Like, they did some type of study, and I thought that was like really, really amazing. So like, when you put on that worship music, when you sit there and you worship the Lord, like, that part of your brain turns off. Yeah. Like, it's super nice having that. And then I don't even know where I'm going. Senior year, I was super, this was probably one of the hardest years of my life up to that moment, just with trusting God's plan. Yeah. Because up till December of my senior year, I knew where I was going to go to college. I thought I was going to go to Mizzou. Really? Yeah. I was determined. I did the tour. I was like, I'm going to Mizzou. Like, they have a great broadcasting program. But me and my mom talked about it, and looking back now, I never got a sense of peace about the place when I visited, when I thought about it. And so she kind of like pushed me to do a visit here, because I did like a summer camp here. So like, I had like a like opportunity to come here. Yeah. Like, free like entry charge or something. But I was like, I don't want to go to Lindenwood. Like, what? Like, I want to go to Mizzou. Like, that's what I've wanted for years now. And there was a moment in my life where I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go to college at. Because I was sitting there and I was like praying about it, and I was like, I'm not hearing from God. And I was like, how do people hear from God? Because that's a subject that could be an episode in itself. But He was just kind of trying to teach me to like trust Him fully in His plan. And I think that's why I was going through so much of that like trial and like wondering, because like, I wouldn't be sitting here in this room doing this podcast with you right now if I chose to go to Mizzou. like, that's crazy just thinking about that, because, like, there is a reason behind every single hard decision, every single thing. And, like, choosing a college was probably the hardest thing that I've had to do so far.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because, like, choosing your future and, like, it's just so hard and stressful.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, like, he revealed to me, like, I just felt a sense of peace when thinking about Lindenwood. I turned to a lot of, like, people in, like, church, like, my youth group leaders and, like, my pastor, just kind of, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to pick a church. And so, like, I just never, like, I was just so anxious about it. And, like, one of my youth leaders was like, you're probably, like, the devil's probably trying to work against you. Like, he knows you're going to be doing great things. And you just have to, like, don't let the enemy, like, sit at your table. Don't let the enemy sit there and try to tell you what you can and can't do. Like, seek God. God, like, will give you wisdom and, like, tell you what path he wants to take. And, like, I'm so thankful for choosing Lindenwood. And, like, once I graduated and stuff, the summer was super good. I was still, like, really nervous about going to college because, like, your whole life changes. Like, I still miss my mom. Like, I call my mom, like, 5 times a day, which is bad. No one judge me. But, like, I was like, I'm going to go home on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I was scared people were going to judge me for that. But, yeah, that's kind of, like, up till now. Like, I'm in college now. But I forgot to say, I'm looking back at this now, and I was just yapping. Sophomore year, I was not completely living for Christ. That was, like, before I went on this youth group and, like, to this church instead. And, like, I wasn't, like, a bad person or anything, but I had, like, bad friends. I was, like, listening to, like, not, like, bad, like, I was listening to, like, rap and, like, more secular music instead of, and, like, I don't think that's talked about enough because it just, the way that like, rap is, it's not very comforting. It's not the best thing to, like, put into your soul. And so, like, that kind of affects the way that you're living too. And so, like, that and just having, like, friends that weren't necessarily living for Jesus, I was practically, like, lukewarm. And, like, thinking about that, that's scary. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be a lukewarm Christian. I want to be, again, like, on fire, running for him, like what you were saying. And so, thankfully, I backtracked. But, like, thankfully, I went on that mission trip because that did genuinely change my life. Yeah. And so, I forgot to say, too, I was baptized finally, last March. And my pastor back home, Mikey D, he baptized me. I'm so thankful for that moment. That was probably the most important part. That was the most important, like, day of my life, practically, you know? Yeah. But yeah, now that I covered that, now we're in college. I'm still trying to find, like, a home church.
Yeah, I mean, we go to Matthias on Wednesday nights, but, like, I can't not go to church on a Sunday.
Yeah, I can't. I can't not go to church either.
Like, it's Sunday.
I know.
You have to go to church.
Yeah. Also, we're still going with this. I'm sorry, y'all. It's almost going to reach over an hour. I didn't think that was possible, but no. I hope you guys want to listen to us talk for an hour.
I mean, when you love Jesus that much, it's hard to stop talking.
Yeah, it is. So, but, like, yeah, finding a church has been super, super hard. And, like, I love Refuge back home. I love my pastor back home. I love my friends back home. And so,
yeah, if I could bring my church from home and put it in St. Charles.
That was part of the hardest part about coming to college, is not having that.
Yeah, because you establish a family there.
Yeah, you do. And I visited a church here. No, like, I'm not trying to diss on them. I loved it. But, like, I walked in and, like, no one really said anything to me. And, like, yeah, that is part of my fault. Like, I should have made more of an effort. But, like, it was just really hard because, like, back home, everyone knows me.
Yeah, you want to feel welcomed.
Yeah. And so that was pretty hard. But college was just a huge adjustment. I'm so thankful. Like, I joined a sorority, which I had a lot of doubts about because you always hear about sororities and, like, is it okay to be in one? And that whole entire week of recruitment, it was super stressful, but I was just praying. I was like, God, if this is your will, please put me in a sorority that you think fits me best and that I can share your love. And I found out the one that I am in now, Phi Sig, is they had Bible studies at the time. There's women in there who are constantly seeking Christ. We have, like, groups to hold each other accountable and stuff. And so, like, I'm so thankful that God, like, that just shows that God really does work out all things. Yeah. But yeah, college has been a lot not having our parents here, but like thankful.
Mhm.
I say that like we have a pretty good community that we've kind of formed. But right now, I would say thankful to this podcast, like especially this past week. Like I would say I'm like closer to God more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I've just felt God's presence so much, and it's so evident His hands in my life.
Yeah,
like it really is.
I can just tell He's working in us both.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's so easy to tell.
There's just an overwhelming sense of peace that I have, and like I want to wake up early and read my Bible, and I want to do this and this, and like no matter how tired I am, like I want to glorify Him, and like I keep talking to Him throughout my day, and like I'm so thankful that this opportunity has come, because I think not only are we trying to help other people with their journey with Christ, but like it's also helping ours.
Yeah, and I genuinely think that us coming here, coming to Lindenwood, is a part of God just trying to use us to spread His word.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if we went to a Christian university, you're around other people that share the same faith as you do.
Yeah.
But whenever you're at a liberal arts university,
these people don't know Jesus.
There's a lot that don't know Jesus, but then there's those few that do, and He's going to use those people in a way to spread the word.
Yeah. To kind of wrap up my testimony, but moving into college, I just keep reiterating this because like the season that I am in right now is really hard. Just college, getting adjusted to it. I'm not at home. I'm a homebody, so that was really hard. I'm currently just kind of like in a season of life, like a waiting season, just kind of seeing like how God is going to use me, how God is going to use the people around me, just trusting in Him. Like I'm not going to share a lot, but like just waiting on the Lord. Yeah. Just trusting in His plan.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. And I'm trusting God more than ever. I still have my doubts. I don't understand. Like I got something happened before I went off to college, and I don't really, like I'm still seeing what God's plan is through that. And so I don't really know at the time, but like I know like months down the road, years down the road, I'm going to sit there and be like, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thank you for these trials. Thank you for those tears. Thank you for the heartache, and just knowing that He is working all things out.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. About a month ago, like we got some unexpected news too. So like we're just trying to like I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. Like that's why I kind of had some doubts about starting this podcast, because the season of my life is a little interesting. Like I have been in the valley. I don't know if I still am in the valley, but at least I have Jesus. So yeah, I'm trying not to like get upset about just thinking about it. Like there's tears forming in my eyes. I hate crying, but yeah, I'm just trying to trust God. I'm excited for what He holds, but this season is very weird. It's a waiting season. We're just going to say that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to learn how to turn to God during this waiting season, how He's going to use me, why I'm going through this. I've had a lot of those questions, but
yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And just comparing your life to other people's and just, oh, they have this, why can't I have that? So just it'll all come in God's time. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. But yeah, that's kind of our purpose, is just showing that we're normal people. We aren't on the mountaintop all the time.
We struggle, especially being in college.
Yeah.
Life isn't perfect, and we just want to share like how we use our faith in those moments.
Yeah. Can I hit the sparkly pink button?
Yeah. I'm really curious what the other buttons are.
Should we hit them or no? Probably not. Maybe stay tuned for next week's episode, because we're going to hit the purple button next. That'll keep the audience. Yeah. That'll keep the viewers
on the edge of their seat.
Oh, I can't wait. But we are currently at an hour and 5 minutes.
I did not think we were going to go an hour, but
you should have known. You're with Anna Ince.
That is true.
People tell me to stop yapping all the time, but it's a gift from God. God has given us all gifts. And we just have to do that. And that's what we're doing with this.
He's given us the gift of yapping.
Yes.
in a podcast studio.
Do you have any questions for me? I kind of asked your questions.
I don't think so.
I kind of talked about a lot, so but yeah. We're so thankful for you guys listening to the first ever episode of Grace on the Grind. We survived.
We did.
By the grace of God. We survived.
And we are so blessed to have this opportunity and just to share our love of Jesus with you all.
Yeah. Again, please follow us on our social media. Right now we have a Facebook and an Instagram page. Also exciting, we hit like 200 followers on Facebook. So shout out to my mom and her friends.
Hit the pink sparkly button for that.
Somebody should take this button away from me. Okay. But yeah, we have Facebook and we also have Instagram. Maybe TikTok. We'll see. Make a little videos. But we're trying to stay active on there. Maybe hit us up if you have any episode ideas.
Yeah, or if you
want to be a
guest.
Yes, we that'd be exciting.
We're open to anything really.
Yeah,
since it's the start of it.
Mm-hmm. We're just so thankful for this opportunity. New episodes every single Monday, hopefully. Check our socials though, because we'll kind of see. But I'm hoping this one's gonna air Monday. What date would that be? Like Monday what date is Monday?
Today is
Monday the 10th.
Yes.
So hopefully that'll be the day after the Super Bowl, hopefully. But you guys, I'm hoping you guys are listening. I hope you guys have an amazing week.
Mm-hmm.
And just know that God will give us grace. I don't know what next week's going to hold for us, but God gives us grace in our everyday lives and the mundane tasks. And we just need to stop and appreciate his amazing grace.
Yep. We love you all.
And thank you so much. Again, this is Anna Ince.
And this is Bailey Cruzy.
And thank you so much for listening to the first ever episode of Grace in the Grind. Bye, guys. Have a good week.